Hey everyone, Gate here. In this video, I'm bringing you a comprehensive review of the Collab character, Asuka, including her weapon kit, team composition, relic selection, and how to rotate and do damage. First, let's take a look at Asuka's Simulacra. Asuka has a shatter of 14 and 12 for charge, with base stats in attack, HP, and crit. Yes, you heard that right, crit, which makes her the only fortitude weapon with crit as a base stat. Her shatter of 14, however, seems quite low for fortitude, but when combined with her 3-star effect, Asuka provides the strongest shield breaking capability in the game, and is invaluable for fortitude mains. For her unique passive, she has Swift Cut, similar to Yulan, dealing damage as long as we switch weapons and discharge. And as usual for a physical flame fusion character, she'll take the higher of the two physical or flame bonuses, be it attack or damage boost, to calculate her damage. Her weapon effect is Armor Melt, similar to other Fizz Flame fusion characters, Yemiao and Plotty. And she gives both physical and flame resonance, meaning additional physical or flame attack and resistance when paired with other weapons with the same element. Now, let's talk about the character's positioning. Besides fortitude, Asuka also has the ability to control, survive, enhance damage, reduce damage, and provide background DPS. So, I would categorize her as a very versatile sub-DPS character. Moving on to her kit, let's talk about her basic attacks. As Asuka is a background DPS weapon, her basic attacks are not the best. But for newer players with only Asuka, the basic attack chain is sufficient enough to get you by as a main DPS option. You can also choose to mix in some combo hold attacks for style points if you feel like it. Since the difference in damage output is minimal, just make sure to throw in some dodge attacks if you've also got her matrices. Next, let's talk about Asuka's skills. After releasing her main skill, we throw a spear, which sucks in nearby targets and deals damage while also briefly immobilizing them. Also, after releasing the skill, we gain 10 stacks of vengeance, with each being able to do additional damage by summoning an additional small spear to attack the target on hit, with a minimum 1 second interval per hit. Additionally, we trigger the AT field effect on ourselves. AT field provides us with hyper body and damage reduction. The higher the percentage of AT field, the higher our damage reduction, starting from 100% durability, blocking 100% of the damage, dropping to a minimum 10% durability, blocking 10% of the damage. It also provides a boost to physical and flame damage and can consume a stack of vengeance to block a percentage of maximum health damage when activating the fortitude resonance. The AT field lasts for a whopping 30 seconds while the skill's cooldown is only 20, so you don't have to ever worry about dropping AT field's buff coverage. Asuka's Discharge skill, on the other hand, although very cool looking, is not very useful in a DPS setting, so you should cancel it by jumping to optimize for damage. Now, let's talk about the source of Asuka's damage. Asuka's damage comes from the layers of vengeance gained after releasing her skill. Any attack with any weapon will consume a layer of vengeance, but only physical or flame weapons will deal additional damage to the target. Now, let's talk about Asuka's star effects. 1 star increases the number of vengeance stacks from 10 to 15. After consuming all stacks, it triggers an additional large spear, dealing big damage, but only when using physical or flame weapons. Weapons of other elements will still trigger the spear, but have no damage instead. 3 star. When AT field is present, she gains the ability to ignore a percentage of the damage reduction effect when enemies have their shield up. Also, after activating the fortitude resonance, the AT field will enhance her shield breaking efficiency. The higher the AT field's durability percentage, the more damage reduction ignored, and the faster the shield breaking efficiency. 5 star. Each time a vengeance stack is consumed, it restores 6% of the AT field. This effect effectively maintains the shield's durability and in turn the efficiency of the 3-star effect, and the off chance that you do get hit and drop durability on your shield. 6 star. A significant increase to her skill's physical and flame damage buff from the AT field. Additionally, after activating the fortitude resonance, team members will also gain an ignore shield damage reduction effect against monsters, and also nearby monsters' resistance will be reduced while AT field is active. Moving on to her Simulacra Trait. Asuka's trait is more designed for fortitude and tanking, increasing the minimum AT field durability from 10 to 30%. So for meta DPS purposes, we stick to Yemiao's trait instead. For Relic Selection, since Asuka's optimal rotation is 20 seconds, which doesn't match well with Khan's 30-second burst rotation, we instead use Dice and Overdrive Shot for the Relic. For global players, the usual suspects of Thalassic Heart, Bubble Gun, Overdrive Shot, Mask, or Control Gun should all work. For the free-to-play without Battle Pass relics, just stick to Khan and Shield. Now, let's talk about Asuka's matrices. Firstly, the 2-piece set. Physical and flame attack is increased by 22% at 0 stars and 40% at full stars. Using dodge attacks can trigger an additional layer of vengeance without being subjected to the 1 second trigger interval limit. This perfectly complements the 4-piece set effect, which increases all elemental damage by 22% at 0 stars and 40% at full stars. After equipping the Longinus Spear, final damage is additionally increased by 22%, and each vengeance stack gets buffed from 1500 to 1800% multiplier. The 4-piece set also has a Fortitude effect, providing 150 to 300% more aggro when attacking, which shouldn't matter too much since, let's be real here, you're not going to out DPS anybody as a tank. Now, let's talk about her rotations. For physical teams, firstly we have a Nyan Yamyao Asuka lineup. The starting combo is Nyan Discharge plus skill, then switch to Asuka jump cancelling her Discharge if need be and use skill. Then immediately switch to Yamyao when you see Asuka's skill go on cooldown and use her skill. Followed up with dodge attacks and 2 basic attacks, animation cancelling the second basic attack with her dodge attack, and continue doing so while consuming all the feathers and vengeance. Rotate back to Nyan's Discharge when you see 6 seconds on Yamyao's skill cooldown and repeat. For a Zeke Yamyao Asuka lineup, start with Zeke's skill, followed by a dodge attack to apply Snake Chain. Then switch to Asuka and use her skill, then switch to Yamyao and use her skill. Continue with Yamyao's signature dodge attack basic attack combo explained earlier. When Yamyao's skill cooldown is 3 seconds, switch to Zeke, jump to cancel his discharge, and immediately press skill and switch to Asuka. Note that Zeke's skill does not need to land to apply his buffs. Cancel Asuka's discharge if need be and use her skill again. Then finally switch back to Yamyao, jump cancelling her discharge if need be, and follow up with the Yamyao skill plus signature combo and repeat. Note that in this team, every single discharge should be jump cancelled for optimal DPS. For flame teams, either Plotty, Faisa, Asuka, or Plotty, Nyan, Asuka will work. You want to start with Plotty Discharge to apply her mirror passive, then discharge to Nyan and skill, then switch to Asuka and use her skill, and switch back to Plotty, skill, jump, dodge attack once in the air to reduce her skill cooldown, and hold left click to pew pew for damage. With 6 seconds on her skill cooldown, switch and discharge to Nyan and rotate. For those without Plotty matrices, just remember to discharge into Plotty once every 2 rotations to maintain mirrors, then Asuka, then back to Plotty. For those using Faisa instead of Nyan, remember to jump cancel her discharge and switch to Faisa when the screen glows and her cooldown goes off to recast her skill and rotate. Finally, let's talk about other Asuka teams with less than ideal alternatives for the new players and free to play. For a physical oriented team, meaning trying to do physical damage, ideally, you would try and do main DPS with the Yamyao and her trait, but Asuka can suffice with their basic attacks or attack hold combos. Alternatively, Zeke can also be used as main DPS with basic attacks and his trait if you really want to. Anything older than Zeke in the release order, however, is not worth using over Asuka as main DPS. Besides the main DPS weapon, your 2 other weapons should be providing either some sort of damage buff for Fizz or off-field damage. Alternatives besides Asuka, Nyan, and Zeke can be the other flame physical weapon, Plotty, or even older weapons like Ganono, Fiona, Umi, Lin, Lyra, Claudia, and even Tsubasa. Pick any 2 from the list, generally the newer the better, and you have a functional physical team. For a flame-oriented team, meaning trying to do flame damage, ideally you would try and do main DPS with Plotty and her trait, since Asuka cannot deal flame damage on her own, being a primary physical weapon. If you don't have Plotty, other alternatives like Nyan, flame conversion hold attack spams, Liuhuo, Annabella, or even Ruby can be flame main DPS. Besides the main DPS weapon on Asuka, your 1 other weapon should be providing either some sort of damage buff for flame or off-field damage. Here, you can choose from Nyan, Yamyao, Zeke, Faisa, Liuhuo, Fiona, Lin, Lan, Ruby, Claudia, Tsubasa, or even Cobalt. Pick any one from the list, again the newer the better, and you have a functional flame team. For matrices setups, if you pulled for Asuka 4-piece, you want to put her 4-piece on any weapon that's not the main DPS, since her effect works completely in the background. If you didn't pull for her 4-piece, any background matrices from the below list can be put on your 2 background weapons. 2+ 2-piece altered, Plotty, Yamyao, Zeke, Faisa, Liuhuo, Lan, Ruby, Scylla, Habola, or Shiro. For the main DPS weapon, if you don't have triple background limited 4-piece matrices to throw around, you should use your typical main DPS setup, 2-piece Lyra plus 2-piece Amir. Alternative 2 pieces include any relevant 2-piece limited, or Shiro, Crow, Cobalt, Habu, or Scylla. In conclusion, Asuka is an excellently designed weapon with simple operation, comprehensive skill mechanics, and excellent DPS even at low stars. Additionally, it's a Fortitude weapon that can be used long-term in Fortitude teams for utility, giving her even more value. And that's it for Asuka. If you still have any questions, feel free to come over to Twitch or join the Discord to ask. Our wholesome, definitely not toxic community will surely answer all your questions. So are you ready for the Eva collab and Asuka, or are you holding out for Rey? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for the next video. Wishing you all good luck on your polls and to have fun in the collab patch.